Welcome back to part two of chapter two, Books and the Power of Print. So, we were talking about the publishing houses and how in the 1800s they produced the works of prestigious authors, and then into the early 1900s with F. Scott Fitzgerald. You've probably heard of The Great Gatsby, the 1920s most famous book, I think, of Fitzgerald, and it was turned into a play, several movie versions of The Great Gatsby. Also, Ernest Hemingway with one of his most famous books, The Sun Also Rises. They were published by a company called Scribner's. Some of the oldest American houses included J.B. Lippincott, Harper Brothers, now HarperCollins, Houghton Mifflin, Little Brown, G.B. Putnam, Scribner's, as I mentioned, E.P. Dutton, Rand McNally, who produced all of those great atlases and maps, and Macmillan, who did a lot of, or who does a lot of educational publishing. So now that more people were moving to the cities and had a desire to read and learn, the entrepreneurs in the book business were eager to cash in on the new demand for knowledge. And the publishing industry sputtered a bit with the two world wars and the Great Depression from 1910s to 1940s, but the industry bounced back in the 50s and 60s. Think about the conglomerates buying up smaller publishing houses. And then with the advent of film and movies, they were looking for new storylines. So the publishers were able to sell movie rights, thus promoting synergy, which is the promotion and sale of different versions of a media product across various subsidiaries of a conglomerate between books and other media types. Major corporations and international media conglomerates began acquiring smaller houses to expand their markets. So here's an updated chart of some of the major publishers. So you can see Penguin Random House, Hachette, HarperCollins, Macmillan, Simon & Schuster, Scholastic. Maybe you had books as a child from Scholastic, but you can see a lot of the names are similar to what they have been throughout the years. So in today's world, not unlike most other businesses, book publishing is dominated by a handful of giant corporations. And that's how a lot of industries are these days. Let's talk a little bit about the publishing houses, who the gatekeepers are, and what these different positions do in the publishing houses. So, most publishing houses, regardless of size, are structured similarly. They have teams or divisions that do acquisitions and manuscript development, copy editing and design and production, marketing and sales, and administration. Acquisitions editors seek out authors and offer them contracts to publish specific titles. They might handle subsidiary rights, which are the selling of rights of a book for other use in media, like not only hardback books, but mass market paperbacks, or sell it as a screenplay. Developmental editors help the author draft and revise the manuscript by providing feedback and solicit advice from reviewers. Those copy editors fix all and any spelling, punctuation, grammar, or style problems in the manuscript. Design managers determine the look and feel of the book, making decisions about type styles, paper, cover designs, layout of spread pages. And there's a really fun TED Talk that I'm going to post a link to if you want to watch it. The man's name is Chip Kidd, and he does a TED Talk on when they acquired where he was working at the time, they acquired the book Jurassic Park. So you've probably heard of Jurassic Park and all the movies and merchandising and everything. Well, it started out as a book, and where he found the cover art is really interesting. So I'm going to post a link to that if you would like to watch that. So different types of books, print books. Until recently, all books were in print form, on paper, bound with a cover. Now, of course, books have expanded to include audiobooks, CDs, cassette, MP3 downloads, and ebooks accessed on the internet and read on a computer or handheld device. Some of you might remember the Kindle. Also books on tape. People used to have cassette tapes. You put it in your car, cassette tape player, and listen to someone read a book to you. So let's talk a little bit about trade books, which are hardbound and paperbacks aimed at general readers and sold at commercial retail outlets. The industry breaks down this category into adult trade, fiction, current nonfiction, and biographies, literary classics, books on hobbies, art and travel, popular science, technology and computer, self-help, and cookbooks. Juvenile trade books, huge industry, range from young adult to children's picture books. Maybe you have a favorite child book. I know I do. Some of my favorite books of all times were my children's books that I read as a kid or someone read to me. Professional books target various occupational groups like law, business, medicine, and technology science. Textbooks for schools and learning, elementary, high school, college, and vocational books. Mass market paperbacks, mostly sold on racks in drugstores, supermarkets, airports, and bookstores. Religious books, of course, the best-selling book of all time, you guessed it, is the Bible. Spurred the sales of War and Peace, race, poverty, civic responsibility, a few of those topics. Reference books, dictionaries, encyclopedias, atlases, almanacs, and volumes of legal cases and medical manuals and journals. University Press, nonprofit, which publishes scholarly works for small groups of readers in specialized areas, literary theory, art movements, and philosophy. So the convergence of technology has motivated publishing houses to make digital copies of their old and new titles, which has led to rapid growth in the electronic side of book publishing. Ebooks are demonstrating how digital technology can help the oldest mass medium adapt and survive in today's electronic world. So let's talk about technology and cultural change. Technology drives historical change, we believe, or is technology a function of change when associated with other forces, social, economic, and cultural? That's another theory that some believe. So what do you think? Technological determinism is the belief that technology drives that historical change, but a more moderate view sees technology as a function of change when associated with various social, economic, and cultural forces. So, for example, printing did not cause the Reformation, but it probably helped it occur. So here's a chart of some best-selling books in the United States in the week ending February 10th, 2024 by unit sales. Have you read any of these books? Have you heard of these books? Just take a gander. Okay, the economics of books. The book industry must bring money in while also investing in needed resources. Publishers make money by selling books in brick and mortar stores and online stores, book clubs, and mail order. Hardcover still holds the greatest share of the market and selling TV and movie rights. The book publishing industry has seen modest increase in revenue recently. From the 1980s to today, total revenues went from $9 billion to $28 billion. Superstores like Barnes and Noble have taken over a lot of the smaller stores over the years. But, even lately, I think those have been declining a little bit as well. If you've ever seen the movie You've Got Mail with Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan, it explores how the smaller bookstores were taken over by the larger bookstores in the 90s. So you might want to take a look at that movie. It's a fun little movie all about bookstores and also media convergence. I mean, that was the beginning of when people were getting internet in their homes. You've probably heard the term, "You've got mail," which was the AOL slogan when you got some emails. And that was the premise of that movie. So the economics of books. So, where do the publishers make their money, and where do they spend their money? So money comes in from physical stores, online stores, book clubs, mail order, and then money goes out, retailer portion, publishing costs. They have to pay the author's royalties. They have to pay for paper, printing, and binding. They have to pay for production, putting that book together, distributing that book, getting the books to the stores, and also marketing. So how do they get the word out about a certain title or book? That all costs money, advertising as well. So in 2024, the global book market is estimated to have generated $151 billion in revenue, and the U.S. book market to $23.4 billion in revenue, and it's expected to keep growing. And the U.S. book market is expected to grow at 3.1% over the next few years. And factors driving the book market: rising consumer spending on books, growing interest in reading, innovations in format that enhance the reader experience, and the ongoing digitalization of reading materials. So, say you're an author of a book. What do you get if a hardcover sells at $26? The bookseller or store would get about $13 of that $26. $3 would go to printing and shipping. $3.90 would be the author royalty, about 15% of each book sale. 90 cents goes to the publisher, and $5.20 goes toward bookstore returns and clearance. So you as the author would get about $4 of that $26 book sold at a retailer. So downloaded audio remained the fastest growing format from 2016 to 2017. More than 1 billion paperback books were sold. And for the first time, publisher sales to physical and online retail channels were approximately equal back in 2017. Here's a chart of how Amazon cornered the ebook market. And this is a page in your book, your textbook. So publishing in the film industry. So think about what films that you know that were based on books. The whole Harry Potter series. And all of these titles here. The Notebook, that was a very famous book with and film with Rachel McAdams and Ryan Gosling. The Shining by Stephen King, The Princess Bride. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Gone with the Wind, The Godfather, etc. Lots of banned books. Just wanted to mention these. And why were these books banned in certain school districts, certain schools, certain churches, etc.? Maybe whomever was in charge felt that these books contained some type of offensive material, or what have you. Some of these are, classic books from throughout the generations and have been banned in different school districts, etc. Here's an exercise that you guys can complete, but is not something that you would need to turn in, but just using the process here to describe, analyze, interpret, evaluate, and suggest engagement. Find the story of a banned book. Where was it banned? What is the relation to the community that banned it? So First Amendment guarantees the freedom of press. However, throughout history, rulers intent on maintaining power have censored or banned books to prevent people from learning about alternative ideas and ways of living. Common reasons for challenge including sexually explicit passages, often offensive language, occult themes, violence, homosexuality, promotion of a religious viewpoint, nudity, and or racism.